Good morning. I mentioned on Monday that there were some things we could be doing in the meantime. In addition to creative forms of gathering, I talked about doing some introspection. That is, instead of focusing outwardly on all the things that are happening, spend some time focusing on your own heart. I remember one time a guy came to our church that I had gone to college with, and he said, "I just want you to know I've come to your worship service today to evaluate you." And the thought occurred to me later, it's too bad he didn't come to be evaluated by God. A lot of times when we worship, we end up evaluating the service or the sermon or whatever, when really part of our worship ought to be letting God evaluate us. And part of this quarantine or shutdown or whatever we're calling it ought to be a time for us to do some introspection. I asked you to do that. I've been doing that myself. And one of the questions that I've been thinking about is, have I made the church an idol? Have I made the church an idol? Tim Keller wrote a really great book called Counterfeit Gods. And he said, we think that idols are bad things, but that is almost never the case. The greater the good, the more likely we are to expect that it can satisfy our deepest needs and hopes. Anything can serve as a counterfeit God, especially the very best things in life. What is an idol? It is anything more important to you than God. Anything that absorbs your heart and your imagination more than God. Anything you seek to give you what only God can give you. A counterfeit God is anything so central and essential to your life that should you lose it, your life would feel hardly worth living. An idol has such controlling position in your heart that you can spend most of your passion and energy, your emotional and financial resources on it without a second thought. You know, a lot of things can take that place in our heart. I think we have to ask ourselves, why is it that we want to get back to the building so much? Is it possible that church or having my way has become an idol? I'm not suggesting that's the case with many of you. I'm simply asking the question, is it possible? I'm asking that question of myself and asking God to probe my heart for the answer. I hope you'll join me in that pursuit as we move on together. I'll see you tomorrow.